Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. It's by Melody Beattie. We light our chalice this morning with a quote from John Milton. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines and to our digital service. I'm Reverend Amy Petrie Shaw. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and I'm speaking to you now from land that's the traditional territory of the indigenous Iowa people. Barb Martin is our celebrant and song leader today. Bruce Martin is our pianist, and Ellen Taylor is the pastoral care associate for this week. And today we're going to be talking about gratitude and Thanksgiving. And I want to open with a piece called Walled Gardens by John Millsbaugh as we begin to think about those things. Millsbaugh writes, "All too often we pace the geometries of our walled gardens, believing we're transversing the whole of creation. With spirits of discovery, let us uncover the mysteries nested in our routines. With the eagerness of children, let us seek out the secrets unfolding in our peripheral vision. Let us behold our fellow creatures with reverence. Let us greet each day with praise and thanksgiving. Life is a gift of incomprehensible magnitude. Our lives are voyages with unknowable destinations, and along the way, let us meet and kiss, challenge and support one another. Let's fashion a network of mutuality and extend it into the larger world. In these ways, we forge lives of goodness and beauty. In these ways, we know a life of prayer. So come in and be welcome, and let us be a community here together. All we ask is that you keep your microphone muted during the actual service. After the service, we have coffee hour breakout rooms. You'll get an invitation to go into a breakout room. You just have to click yes and go. And then you can turn on your mic and your monitor and join us in coffee hour.
Greetings. I'm Barbara Martin. My pronouns are female, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this service this morning and to welcome our families in California and Virginia and Rhode Island and Wisconsin and many different places, and to welcome all the rest of you 75 people who are with us today. Thank you so much for deciding to be with us, and may we enjoy this service from the comfort and safety of our homes. Please join me in our opening hymn, 406, Let Us Break Bread Together. And you will see the words in the chat box, or you can just look in that gray hymnal, 406. Let us break bread
Thank you so much, Barb. Our time for all ages story this morning is going to be read by Ellie Chungath, and it is called Giving Thanks, a Native American Good Morning Message. It was written by Chief Jake Swamp, and it's illustrated by Edwin Printup Jr. Hold on 2 seconds. Try this again.
Hi, I'm Ellie Chungath. I'm going to be reading Giving Thanks, a Native American Good Morning Message by Chief Jake Swamp, illustrated by Erwin Printup Jr. To be a human being is an honor. We
I can't be here.
offer thanksgiving for all the gifts of life. Mother Earth, we thank you for giving us everything we need. Thank you, deep blue waters around Mother Earth, for you are the force that takes away thirst from all living things. We give thanks to the green grasses that feel so good against our bare feet, for the cool beauty you bring to Mother Earth's floor. Thank you, good foods for Mother Earth, our life sustainers, for making us happy when we are hungry. Fruits and berries, we thank you for your color and sweetness. We are all thankful to good medicine and herbs for healing us when we are sick. Thank you, all the animals in the world, for keeping our precious forests clean. All the trees in the world, we are thankful for the shade and warmth you give us. Thank you, all the birds in the world, for singing your beautiful songs for all to enjoy. We give thanks to you, gentle four winds, for bringing clean air for us to breathe from four directions. Thank you, grandfather thunder beings, for bringing rains to help all living things grow. Elder brother sun, we send thanks for shining your light and warming Mother Earth. Thank you, grandmother moon, for growing full every month to light the darkness for children and sparkling waters. We give thanks, twinkling stars, for making the night sky so beautiful and for sprinkling morning dewdrops on the plants. Spirit protectors of our past and present, we thank you for showing us ways to live in peace and harmony with one another. And most of all, thank you, Great Spirit, for giving us all these wonderful gifts, so we will be happy and healthy every day and every night.
When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had none at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. I think about a nursery and I picture curly heads, and one by one I count them as they slumber in their beds. So if you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. about a nursery, and I picture curly heads, and one by one I count them as they slumber in their beds. So if you are worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. Yes, you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. Count your blessings.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. This is the point of the service where I'm normally a smart aleck. And today I'm going to be a little more serious. This is our Thanksgiving service. And I want to talk just for a minute about all the things we've done since this time last year. We've had our first year together with me as your full-time minister, and I am so thankful to be here. What an incredible group of people you have proved to be. You had a stewardship campaign, and even though half of it was during a pandemic with us on lockdown, through the hard work and the gifts of many, we're operating in the black this year. That's amazing. It took a massive amount of work and thought and questioning. I'm so thankful. You've welcomed asylum seekers. You've helped them make their homes here. You've worked for immigration justice, for the end of racial profiling, to support Latinx families, reunifications. I'm so thankful. You made family promise a priority. You've housed and supported homeless families with love and welcome. Your caring committee and this congregation have been there for families in our own congregation. You've provided meals and visited the sick and babysat the children. I'm so thankful. The Feds group that Bruce Martin helps to lead, they've helped to provide meals for the hungry. Amos has helped people to organize at the grassroots level. Our pastoral care team has brought comfort to so many people. You've cared for your church and your community and your world. Everybody from those of you who kept the church ground free of weeds, to those who organized social justice projects with partners from all over the place. You've shown your love and your thanks for your church this year. You fed the hungry, you brought drinks for the thirsty, you welcomed the stranger. You visited the isolated and the friendless, you sang, you played instruments, you organized events. You were and are the church in the world, even out of the building and in the grip of a global pandemic. You are the church, and I am so thankful for each and every one of you. You've lived your values, given your time and your money and your belongings. For everything you've done and all that you'll continue to do, I am so very thankful. We're going to do the morning offering now through a link in the chat. One half of the electronic plate goes to the social justice work internal to the church, and one half to our faith and action partners, Planned Parenthood and El Éxito. So I believe, Lyra put the link in the chat. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. And the morning offering will now be given and received. Thank you for these gifts and all of the time and the talent and treasure you give to your church. They are so deeply appreciated because the church isn't the building. It's us, it's all of us, it's the community of human hands and human hearts. And part of what being a church is being able to come together in good times and in bad to share the joy and the pain. Winnie Williams' daughter has let Sally Buckholt know that Winnie has COVID. We don't have a lot of details right now, but Winnie would love to hear from her church family. I am actually going to put her information in the chat box there, but I'm sure she'd love cards and email messages. She's probably not up to phone calls right now. I would email and ask before you just called. We do have another one that was sent in. Bob Baker fell on November 15th and he cracked his hip. So Bob loves to cook. A lot of you may know him for his bread pudding, which is delicious, and he makes it with real whipped cream. He is recovering at home, and doctors have told him to take it easy until that hip bone heals. So here is Bob's information. It's also in the chat box. If I can get it to go, there we go. And he would love cards and emails, and he's probably up for a call, but you might want to email first again. I'd like to give everyone a chance now. If there's someone you know that needs some extra love and thought and to be held in our hearts this week, please feel free to put their names, type their names into the chat box so that this week the love of our community can hold them all. May the light of our community shine on all the broken places in the world. May we travel together with those who fight for equity and justice in human relation. May the work of our hands and our hearts support and comfort all those who are marginalized or silenced or at risk. May we be called to action by the needs of those who struggle against violence and pain and degradation and destruction. May all those who are grieving be comforted. May you be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May you find rest. May the broken places be healed. May you be healed. And may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Every week I light 3 candles for us. One for the joys and the sorrows that we've shared. One for the names that we've written here in the chat. And one last candle for all those joys and all those sorrows which we hold deeply in our hearts, but which we have not been able to speak aloud here today.
Our first reading this morning is Being Thankful by Dr. Michael B. Brown, Senior Minister of Marble Collegiate Church. A friend of mine lost her husband when their daughter was just 6 years old. The mother, even in her own profound grief, was also determined that an experience of loss would not become the defining element in her daughter's worldview. So she took action. The mother presented her daughter with a jar, a piece of paper, and some crayons. She asked the little girl to help her tape the paper to the jar container, and then, at her mother's instructions, the child wrote on it the words, "Blessings jar." Every night thereafter, prior to turning out the lights for sleep, the mom would have her daughter write on a slip of paper one good thing that had happened in her life that day. Sometimes that was an easy thing for the child to do. Other nights, she struggled to remember a single happy thought from a long day at school. But every night before the lights went out, one good experience was written down and placed in that jar. That practice took place every night until the last night of each month, when the mom and daughter would empty the jar and read each entry one by one. They have been doing that every night for years. The mother told me, I'm trying to help my daughter see the world positively, to realize that no matter how bad things may seem at any given moment, there are always blessings in our lives every day if we are simply willing to look for them. The practice is apparently working as the child is growing into a young woman of confidence, capability, and irrepressible hope. These are not easy times, but even in the midst of such, every one of us can find just enough gold nuggets amid the muddy river waters to know that however things may seem at any given moment, we are still blessed. Our ancestors got it right. Thankfulness is offered not merely because of, but also in spite of. Those who are aware of that truth almost always reach personal places of peace. And having found such, they often also find the strength and courage required to take action to make wrong things right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Our words for meditation today are adapted from Perhaps the World Ends Here by Joy Harjo. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. We make people. At this table, we gossip, we recall enemies and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves, and we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain and an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It's a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We've given birth on this table and prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy and sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. And perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we're all laughing and crying and eating the last sweet bite. Holding those words in mind, please join me in 3 minutes of silent thought or meditation or prayer.
Our second reading is a prayer for holidays with families, written by Suzanne Intrillagator. And it's actually a written prayer. And this year, at a time when gathering is not encouraged, and for the first time in many years, many of us will miss dinners with our families and our friends, and this prayer is particularly poignant. Dear Spirit, great mystery that has blessed us with life, help us to feel grateful. We give thanks in this moment for lungs that give us breath, for a heart that beats, and for our bodies that are alive. We give thanks for this coming holiday and all those that follow, however and with whomever we will spend them. We give thanks to be alive, to be able to mark the day in whatever way we choose. We give thanks for family, for friends, for those who gather around us in body or in spirit, in flesh or in memory. We give thanks for all those people who came before us, who, flawed and damaged as they were, who loved us into being and shaped us into who we are now. We remember with gratitude. We give thanks for mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers. They did their best. We give thanks for strange uncles and rebellious aunts, for rambunctious cousins and unexpected guests. We give thanks for long car rides, dashes through airports, and endless rounds of Monopoly. We give thanks for the awkward conversation, the strained pause, even the slammed door. We give thanks for disagreements that forced us to grow and move and evolve. We give thanks for surviving the disagreements which bloomed into anger or worse. We give thanks for all of it, for all these wild and hungry people, our family, our friends, our congregation, people just as flawed as we are, all dealing with more than we can see, all part of a larger whole, every last one doing their best. We give thanks for the glory of being alive. Amen. And now please join us in hymn number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. The words again are in your chat box, and just keep muted and sing out. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table.
Thanksgiving is always a difficult holiday to write about. Some people have huge families and a house full of guests. Other people don't bother with it at all. Some people wish they had a house full of guests. And this year, well, nobody's having Thanksgiving the way we'd prefer to, I don't think. And while I was looking for readings for this service, I came across a wonderful story from Jean Bell Mosley that I had known before but kind of forgotten about. And Jean grew up very, very poor in Missouri. In her story, Lights for Thanksgiving, she tells this story of her father and his lamps. And it's marvelous. I'll put the link in the chat to the whole story so that you can see it. But so Jean's dad was a dreamer and a schemer, and he was always trying to find a way to do better, be more. He called the rest of the family the practicals because he was the dreamer and they always had their feet on the earth. And he kind of saw his mother-in-law as the arch practical, right? She was the one who just didn't get him. And so he got sick of the smelly old kerosene lamps that they used to light their farm. And so he announced that right before Thanksgiving, he decided, we are going to have gas lighting. Well, this was an amazing thing if you were hard scrabble poor in Missouri to have gas lighting. Nobody had gas lighting. That was for rich people. Nobody was impressed when he said that. Jean's mom said, oh, when's this going to happen? And he thought for a minute and said, well, next week. Yeah, right. He was serious. We'll have it ready for Thanksgiving, and we're going to ask all the neighbors in, and they will just be green-eyed with envy. All right. But the neighbors will want to come on Thanksgiving? I don't think so. That's a family day. Folks like to be around their own table. They'll come, her dad said, when I hint there's going to be a demonstration of something for the betterment of the community. He was really into these lights. And her dad was so excited by the idea, he went and got a brace and a bit and got up on the table and he drilled a hole in the ceiling right that minute, right over the kitchen table and into the attic while all the practicals in the family watched, doing this. Well, it sure needs airing out in here, Grandma said, breaking the uncomfortable silence that followed the whole boring. We could have opened a door, though, she added ruefully, looking up at the fresh new hole leading into the attic. Humph, Dad said. He quietly stood there while his wife and mother-in-law discussed quite loudly all of the things that were going to fly and crawl and climb through that hole. And since it was sure to be there forever, unfilled by anything, as those lights were never going to happen. So you can imagine this poor little shack, and now there's a hole into the unheated attic. So a few days later, Jean got shocked because her dad said, come on, you and your brother, we're going to buy the light system. Get in the wagon. It had cost an entire wagon load of corn and one fat steer, but they were going to buy it. They bought it, and they headed for home. And the first neighbor they passed was standing out in his ruined field. It had been ruined 3 years earlier by a storm. Everybody teased him about where you're going to start fixing it. And he stood out in the field, and just like he always did when he saw a neighbor, he said, oh, just looking, I don't even know where to start. And her dad said, start with Thanksgiving. Come to our house. Thanksgiving? For this? Look around. Look at my homestead. Well, you got your land. No, the man said, I really don't. They hadn't been able to pay taxes in the 3 years, and they're going to lose the farm. We're going to lose it this year. I'm not doing Thanksgiving. So Jean's father looked really gloomy and told him, well, come anyway, but he wasn't expecting him to show up. They got to the next house, and they met the nice family there, Mrs. Stacy. She's crying because they can't afford to have their son come home from the military. And Jean's dad said, well, I got something I was going to show the neighbors, something the whole community might want to adopt. And this family said, no, we're not interested this year. We're miserable. The next family was just sitting down to dinner as they started to come past and stopped in to say hi. There was Tom and Polly and Herbert and Aileen and Maggie all around the table, but the rest of the kids weren't there. Family was poor, poorer than they were. All that was there on the table was potatoes. But Jean's dad gave them the eye, and she and her brother peeled their potatoes just like their dad. Made a big ceremony out of eating, thanked them for their hospitality, and said, you guys got to come to our house for Thanksgiving. The parents looked worried. They said, we got sick kids. And Dad said, what's the trouble? And they said, it's not anything you can put your finger on. It's what happens. It's a long time thing. It's what happens when kids don't get fruit or enough food or anything. I'm sorry, Dad said. I had a little surprise I wanted to show people, but come if you can. They made it almost all the way home before her dad turned that wagon around and went back to the store. He made the kids wait. He took it all back. And he made them wait again while he ran errands. They didn't dare say a word. When they got home, he wouldn't explain. And Jean couldn't explain to her mom what the heck had just happened. For the next couple of days till Thanksgiving, nobody looked at that hole in the ceiling. Can you imagine a proud man? He won't explain. The kids can't explain. And there's this hole in the ceiling with cold air pouring in. Every once in a while, Grandma would take a broom handle and swirl it up around in there. And she made a smart aleck comment about maybe we could use it as a broom holder, just sort of hang it over the table. Guess the neighbors won't be coming for Thanksgiving, Dad said. He didn't say why. They didn't ask. They didn't even ask where the corn and the steer went or why there was no light. The kids got dressed up to say their Thanksgiving poems like they did every year. Mom made an amazing meal like she did every year. They saved and saved to make sure they could have it. Turkey was great. The potatoes were beautiful. It wasn't her fault there wasn't enough to go around because Dad said the neighbors weren't coming. But you know what? They did, all of them. As Jean's family was sitting down to their little dinner set up for just the four of them, there was a bang on the door, and here came the family whose son couldn't come home. And they brought homemade bread. They said, we knew it wasn't right to show up at the last minute, but after our son came home, surprising us, we couldn't stop from coming. And don't act like you don't know where his ticket came from. She kind of pushed Jean's mom on the shoulder and started to cry and wink. The farmer that's farm had been ruined, and his wife showed up. They brought preserved and they hugged her mom, saying a more neighborly thing had never been done than what had been done about their back taxes. Because you see, somebody paid them off that week. Jean's mom sat down and looked over at her dad, and Jean saw him nod his head just a little. And her mom smiled and said, I love you, and I think you're wonderful. Grandma opened more cans of beans and peaches and preserves and cut all the pie in two again. Now Wilson, the one family who had showed up, said, what was that surprise? You mean you ain't seen it yet, Grandma said, pointing ruthlessly up at the hole in the ceiling. I watched 19 pairs of eyes, Jean said, turn to that hole. And then toward Dad, and I felt so sorry for him, I couldn't stand it. I pretended to drop something and get down to hunt for it so I wouldn't have to watch these people laughing at him, destroying his dignity. After all he'd done, groceries to the family with ill children, taxes paid, ticket for the son home, he'd fixed everything, and now they were going to laugh at him. It's a symbolic hole, I heard someone say, and I got off the floor hurriedly to see who else understood this kind of stuff, and it was her grandma. It was her grandma, the arch practical. It stands for the light that Wilson here has brought into our lives. Wilson was Jean's dad. All of us have holes in our lives, don't we? And she looked around at the folks slowly, holes where something isn't that we had planned to be. Grandma continued in a very practical voice, and we have to fill them up with something else until the right thing comes along. Jean said, a queer feeling took a hold of me hearing Grandma, the arch practical, talk like this. A good, light, floaty feeling. I looked at the hole in the ceiling again, and I thought about how it was filled up with Jack Stacy's railroad ticket home, and Paul Britt's 3 years of taxes, and a barrel full of fruit. And I heard the arch practical say, warming to her explanation, sometimes the things we fill holes with turn out to be better than the thing we intended for them. Now, I love Jean Bell Moseley. I love her authentic voice. These are all stories based on her life. I recommend picking up her book, Wide Meadows, which you can read the whole story of Lights for Thanksgiving. Because thankfulness is such a funny thing, especially in a year like this, when the things we have to be thankful for are things like being here, hopefully with some of our family. This sure wasn't what we expected last year. Sure wasn't what we expected when we drilled the hole in the ceiling, when we ordered the new furniture or bought the table or thought about our menu. I always used to wince in school when we did the Thanksgiving stuff. We sat around a lunch table and we had to say what we were thankful for. Jean's dad's answers would have been awkward to that. I'm thankful for the lights I didn't get. For most people, when we do the what am I thankful for, it boils down to I'm thankful for my stuff. I'm thankful for my stuff and for the people who give me stuff and for the people who give me emotional stuff like love and support. I've got stuff, hallelujah, Lord be praised. But this story isn't about having stuff, because our stuff really isn't our stuff. It's the universe's stuff, and the universe doesn't really care where it puts it. So some of us have more stuff and some have less stuff. Some of us are privileged, some of us are unfairly underprivileged. So, oh Lord, for what I've received, make me truly thankful, but I don't know how to feel because I have so very much and others have so very little. Others of us don't have much stuff, and maybe we have almost no stuff, and we do our best to get some stuff, and we hang our heads when others try to give us some of their stuff because somebody told us some point that it was somehow more blessed to give. And we can't give anything right now, or so we think. But Jean's dad and his hole in the ceiling, he was given something he could not have bought from people who had no stuff at all. He was given stature in the eyes of his family, respect in his community, pride. Pride in the eyes of a daughter who had never looked at him before in that way. Because giving and receiving both have incredible worth. You know, in Judaism, the word for charity is also the word for justice. Acting in a way that upholds universal justice, redistributing some of the stuff. I'm thankful every day for the things I've been given by the universe, because through them I earn the things to fill the holes in my life and my roof. Give joyously and be thankful to have a chance to help heal the world, to engage in justice. Give joyously because it may allow someone else to help you fill that hole in your roof. Enjoy what you've been given. Enjoy your stuff. Because sometimes you get the lamp and sometimes you get the empty hole. And sometimes the things we fill the holes with turn out to be better than the thing we intended for them. I hope everybody has an amazing Thanksgiving. Be blessed and enjoy it. And blessed be.
We extinguish the chalice, and we know that the search for truth matters as much as the truth we find. Wherever you go on your search, don't panic. Our final hymn is number 349, We Gather Together. And although this is a very familiar tune, beware of the Unitarian words. 349. We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, acclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now in our living. We sing a hymn of praise to the life that we bear. We gather together to join in the journey, confirming, committing our passage to be a true affirmation in joy and tribulation, when bound to human care and hope, then we are free.
Spirit of life, may we ever grow as a community and as a church of seekers. Go into the world together, knowing that we are both the blessed and those who bless. May we give thanks this week and every week for the things that fill the holes in our ceilings. The service has ended and your service in the world begins again. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.